Hey guys, we're going to field test, Mark Hatmaker here. We're going to field test a common self-defense piece of advice about using your car keys as a self-protection device. I've said before in some of our other material, particularly I believe it's on our street system, and then particularly on X Weapon, which is an entire thing about our 2 DVD set on using improvised weapons. I think I said on that one, says I just hate the idea of using the keys as weapons, but I completely glossed over why. So it's completely unfair because people still occasionally ask me sometime, hey Mark, I heard you use the keys, so what do you think about this? And in the spirit of empiricism, testing everything out like we will be doing the Outer Limits, which is the third volume of that street series that'll be coming up, I believe, I want to say about 3 or 4 months out from now, where we take every item, even the ones I give you, anyone gives you, you're supposed to take them out there, put them under field test, field conditions, and stress test them to see what shakes out, and, you know, like the old Special Forces idea of never do anything in the battlefield for the first time, let your training conditions reflect the battlefield. So what we're going to do, let me get my pink cup out of here. Car keys, yeah, look at that, easy prop to have right there. The idea behind this is you're supposed to be taking the keys and threading them in between your fingers as such. First, I want you to notice right up front, one of my first ideas with it, how long it takes to do this if you're running with a standard gauge or key ring right here. It's kind of a narrow one. You have to have something a little bit bigger, something about below the size of a janitor's key ring to make sure this is going to be much easier on your threading. But again, the idea is to thread those keys in between the fingers. First, take about the amount of time this is going to take. You're stepping into the parking garage, wherever you're feeling like you've got a problem going on, and then you're going to make this kind of little clustering thing happen. One, that's the time idea. The other idea is just wrong before we get to the tactics of it. Just strategically is completely wrong. If you're trying to tell someone, hey, great way to for self-defense, a great protection thing you have out there is get your car keys out and have them like this. Wouldn't it make more sense just to go, hey, get yourself a firearm, your knife, your taser, whatever other, a designated weapon, something that is specifically for self-protection to have with you. I'm not talking you're walking around with your gun drawn the entire time, saying you have that with you. Instead, you're doing this kind of make-do thing, particularly if you've never even field tested to see if this thing's going to work out for you. So yes, if I'm saying the only way this might be an okay idea, if you don't happen to have your designated weapon with you and you're trying to go with some improvisation. But I'm going to say once we field test, I still have little faith in this being a good idea. Now you see I've done this little, I don't know if this will stay up. It is so cold here right now. We've got that polar vortex going on. Even the glue on this duct tape is allowing these targets to come off. But if you're trying to save yourself your heavy bag, if you take this and do this on your own, please put up. It's just standard, lay it over a couple of boxes over here, duct tape the entire thing up. The idea behind you using this, there's 1 or 2 ways to being shown, kind of how to use this tactically. But 80% of the time, you're going to see the device come across in the whole slashing kind of way, like you're playing some kind of a dime store Wolverine, and about 20% of the device is going to be talking about straight on thrusting the entire thing. One of the ideas, now with this thrusting idea, I'm not going to do too much. One of the first things you're going to find if you take this out and do this is we know how hard it is to go across without do a raking shot, without actually hitting. You're going to end up scraping all the skin off your knuckles, and hopefully I'm going to avoid that. And I'm going to self-admit right now, I've done this test several times to show people why we don't do this. I always end up barking some skin off this thing, and I hate it. So I'll hedge on this. I will be slashing as hard as I can because I know I like the skin on the ends of my knuckles right here. And I got a box here in about half an hour, and I don't want my hands to be bleeding up inside those hand wraps yet. But the idea is slowly but surely is to bring this thing across it and wipe across. Now we're not going to bring the camera straight in, but even with that shot, and that's with this thing not moving, me getting to do a demo, this just barely reads. There's a couple little rakes right here. I fail to see why this is any different from just using a back slap, a finger scratch. The other thing that happens whenever I do this, I don't know if you notice, this is not going to read, it even happen in this small area here. You don't always have a choice when you're putting the keys in, whether you've got the serrated edges going towards your hands or not. I got lucky in this one. 2 of the serrated are facing out. So we'll see right here, and 1's facing in. And what you can't see, but what I feel is, you ever have little paper cuts right here in the webs of the fingers right here, guys? Every time you do this rake across, there's a little bit of an abrasion right here. So right now, I'm going to have fun every time I go in there to wash the hands for the next couple of days, just for the sake of this test. And keep in mind, this is perfectly nice conditions. I got to be able to pull this off and make this happen exactly the way I want it. Now that was on the 80%. 20% says you're going to go in and snap right into it. Now what happens is the keys start moving back immediately, and again, I've gone through and I've scraped up the insides of my fingers. I just got very little faith that this is really the way to go. I can't see how this is any better than backslapping with the hands, throwing your hands across, using the finger jabs. Anything's going to have a lot more impact. Even your bare fingers on this can probably give you more impact than these keys do. Now with that said, if you've got something attached to the key ring, Give me the small mirror, the idea of the old little Cobaton to carry all the time. Don't use it as a fist load. I'm anti-fist load. We'll do that on the field test another day while we don't. But anything that protrudes from the hands, failing that. If you don't like to have something big and bulky in your keys, you know, moving your pockets out, I'm that guy. I don't like to have anything like that on there. A ballpoint pen or anything along those lines, you can leave the end on it. I'm going to pop the end of it off right now because you take that pen, hold it tightly, put your thumb along the side, you're leaving about an inch to an inch and a half protrusion right there. I won't even hit it in the bag like this because I will definitely have some protrusion because it will go through all the way and hit the bag. But you get the idea. It's not going to stick into the board, but this pen will not blow back and go into my finger, and I'm able to get enough Joe Pesci action like in Casino. If you've seen that, you can get lots of thrust out of this. Just constant underhand strikes, overhand strikes, repeated shots without you blowing your hands apart, cutting, having the keys blow back on you with any kind of dislodging dislocation. For a few more thoughts on that idea, and a few more ideas why I don't care for the keys, it'll actually be written up in our Legends newsletter, the one that comes out, I want to say, it's probably tomorrow, which is January 10th, 2014. With that said, keys, you want to hang on to them. This is your method of escape. Why screw them up? If you're going to use them, you're not worried about them being screwed up. You have to use them. I would say look at X weapon. This is the kind of thing that would classify more than trying to turn yourself into Wolverine. Have a designated weapon. Find something more useful as an improvised weapon. Save yourself from getting cut up. Those already sting even in this cold right now. These would actually probably move off to being what we call a ballistic class weapon, something that you toss as a distraction, toss, jam, and then take off along the lines of... I think I probably hit the bag harder with the keys being thrown into the eye level than I did whenever I was doing my little Wolverine shot. So anyway, that's the idea why I say I don't really care for this whole key idea. I think it's usually it's by people asking the question, what can I do to defend myself? And someone casually tosses that out as an answer. And I think, what a horrible thing. Well, I know people are probably saying with good intentions, but field test these things, people. Please don't tell someone else who's looking to you for advice, oh, this is a good idea. If you've not field tested it to see what the weaknesses are, the drawbacks, whatever the good answer would be, hey, get a designated weapon. Have awareness first. Go with designated. Failing that, find improvised weapons that might not fail you at the same rate as something like this will. Anyway, hopefully you found that informative. If there's people out there who just really advocate the key thing, if it works for you, great. Good luck.